Hi, I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the Senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville, and really proud to be reporting on everything that we accomplished in our 90-day legislative session that adjourned Monday at midnight. It was a crazy busy 3 months with a special focus on combating the Trump administration, focusing on affordability, and looking out for job opportunities and economic development in Maryland. I had a really demanding, wide-ranging legislative agenda, and I'm going to briefly report on my successes and look for on my website and in the mail and in email in the coming days all the overlay, pages and pages of everything we accomplished. So I'm going to start really briefly with my stuff. The biggest thing I think everyone watching probably knows, as I talk about it forever, 3 people have died in my district when 911 has failed. So I've spent the last 12 years working on 911. In the final hour of session, we passed a really good new retirement tax credit for our 911 specialists, the courageous women and men under the headset who save lives and property every day. We also passed, after my chairing a work group on that as well, a first in the nation statewide 311 system to lighten the load on our 911 centers and use artificial intelligence in a really constructive and safe way. Really thrilled to be able to work on this and hatch it and support every county, every person across Maryland. Energy bill. Everyone's energy bills have been skyrocketing, and thanks to the Trump optional war in Iran, our gas prices are through the roof. So we passed a relief act, and they even incorporated my green bill, green and renewable energy and efficiency for nonprofit organizations. The Senate had passed it 5 times. It kept dying in the House, but we got it into the Relief Act, and so our nonprofits will be able to reduce their bills and also reduce their carbon footprint. You'll hear more about this later, but every household will see a savings of about $150 per year based on the Relief Act. Elections have always been a trademark of mine. I'm vice chair of the committee that oversees education, energy, the environment, and elections. And this year, we passed, apparently, a landmark number of election bills, including a bunch of mine, even though it was an election year, which isn't something we normally do. So for years, I've been trying to get simplified language for our ballot questions, and that finally passed. We're joining 23 other states that already have laws that require plain English, not legalese and jargon so that people are confused. The Trump administration is trying to say that if the ballots aren't received by the time polls close, they can't be counted. Maryland is one of 15 states that doesn't say that. If our troops' ballots are delayed based on bad, slow postal delivery or something, we want to count them, and we will continue to do that. I worked with Delegate Chris Fair on a really good, thoughtful emergency bill so that even in the primary, it's happening in June, make sure you're registered to vote, that those votes will be counted. The Maryland Association of Election Officials asked for support to keep our polling places safe and increase authority there so that we can make sure that people have confidence that they can safely cast a ballot. Faithless electors. With the Electoral College, which we'll be dealing with in 2 years, we've got to make sure that those who are chosen for the Electoral College cast the ballot they're supposed to be counting based on the votes and not fearful of any threats or political persuasion. And lastly, on elections, ranked choice voting is going into Maryland's law books for the first time. My RCV bill didn't pass, but there are some Republican legislators who had a municipal bill on transparency, and we added ranked choice voting to make sure that the State Board of Elections can accommodate Gaithersburg, Rockville, Annapolis, Frederick, Greenbelt, and many of the other municipalities who are thinking about and exploring the possibility of using RCV for upcoming municipal elections. Nonprofits. I am often described as the senator for the nonprofit sector. I had 4 bills. For some reason, the White House and the Baltimore Sun and others have been demonizing the entire nonprofit sector, which has been frustrating. I passed a bill creating a nonprofit navigator, one human being, one person in the entire state government. She's working within the Department of Commerce and has already provided amazing support to nonprofits of all sizes and missions around the state. But one of my colleagues put on a sunset, and she doesn't get benefits, and the position expires next year. So we tried to make that continue. We passed it in the Senate. Unfortunately, that didn't go. We did, however, succeed in the first time in 10 years, modifying the restrictions, the expectations for audits for our nonprofits. There will always be oversight, but we want them to focus on their missions and the work that they do and save their money for the work and the people they serve. And so that's a modest bill, but it was important. Civic excellence. We passed that many times in the Senate. This year, it will be signed into law. I want to thank my Republican colleague, Justin Reedy, for partnering with me on that, as well as our own delegate, Joe Vogel, in District 17. A constituent of mine a bunch of years ago flagged for me that his architectural license was being used fraudulently, and the State Board of Architects didn't have the authority to do anything about it. I had asked about it and asked about it and asked about it, so finally we brought legislation that's going to give them more authority, more oversight, and create the option of an anonymous portal to report malfeasance. Over-the-counter contraception and 4-year colleges and community colleges. I've worked on that the last few years, but the system and the reporting requirements, the data collection was a little different. So this was a good cleanup bill to make sure that we know about our college students and what sort of support they're getting so that they can choose when and whether to bear children, to start a family. Last thing before I go, 2 more things. My scholarship applications are going to be launching soon. Watch for them. We're going to be giving out tens of thousands of dollars for this fall, undergrad and graduate students. They must live in my district. Go to mdelect.net to learn. Make sure you follow up with your legislators. All 3 of my delegates give out scholarship monies too. That's Delegate Julie Polakovich-Carr, Delegate Ryan Spiegel, Delegate Joe Vogel. They're all awesomely hardworking, but definitely we have even more money. And ours are for all 4 years of your education. Don't be late, be thoughtful, write good essays, and don't use artificial intelligence. With that, follow me on social media all over the place. Check out my Kids Sing with Kagan, which is now I will have time to post some new ones, record some new ones, and make sure you are registered to vote in the Democratic or Republican primary, because it's in primaries where most elections are decided, and this year's elections are in June. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay warm, use sunscreen as it starts to get warm out. Hope to see you back in the community soon. Bye-bye.